Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tardis Zone. I hope you're all doing well. I'm certainly am. Manchester United won their first game pre-season. I'm just at the coming off stream on the other channel, so I'm on a bit of a high. So I'm not on my own. So we'll just bring on the guests because, I'm, as I said, just I'm on a bit of a roll here now, so we might as well continue. We got PD Rich. And we've
Howdy
got
ho.
and only Queen Charlotte
Hello, everybody.
joining us, and we've got Lindsay and JWC reviews in the chat as well. Yeah, so don't want to get into it on the channel, but it looks like the BBC presenter's wife has actually decided that she's had enough and let the cat out of the bag with a statement just before we came live. So his wife is at the actually coming out and ousting who this presents. So it's his own wife, so there's nothing anybody can do. But his own wife is now at the ousting him out as the dirty little scumbag that we all believe this person to be. And unfortunately, we still can't mention his name. But let's just say that everybody knows this guy because he was the guy that announced the Queen's death on BBC, which would have been shown worldwide. So this is how big this is. But his wife has finally come out and let the cat out of the bag, and she's basically ratted out her husband. So I have to say, fair play to you, missus, whoever you are. Hugh. We don't know
who it is.
Right. But fair play to you for calling him out because he thinks he can get away with it with these lawyers and all of this. So it's nice to see. Who else have we got in the chat? We got Peter Harrington. We got James Dawson in the chat also. As I said, we got Lindsay there as well. Everything's running a little bit slow. I think it's because I had my camera on and the computer is trying, and I need to delete stuff on this as well. I think it needs a bit of a clean. We got Cinnamon Toast Crunch in the chat as well. And Nerdaholics also is joining us as well.
Hey,
that would be Sean. So hello, Sean. Nice to see you. But without, obviously, this is not what I wanted to talk about, but I did say when the first allegation that came about, and I've actually seen the photograph, by the way, like a lot of people, the embargo was broken, but it was taken down very quickly, not before people had taken a screenshot of the photograph. So I've seen the photo, like a lot of people, like Lee, Gobby Guy, and others out there, we had seen this photograph almost straight away. So we got to see the photograph. So we knew who it was at the center of this controversy. But for his wife to actually come out, and do you know what? That's a decent wife right there, because honorable lady, because Fecca, she's been married to the guy for God knows how many years, but when it came out about what he did, imagine what it would have been like for her to find out. Like,
Jesus Christ.
She'd be absolutely devastated. So she's right.
Also, there's kids. This individual has a family.
Yeah.
So she would also be thinking as a mother, which is also be a very powerful instinct.
Exactly. As I said, we can't say too much on YouTube, but it does bring me to a little topic that I do want to discuss, and it is a bit of a serious topic, because I think we have to look at ourselves right now and have this conversation, right? I said this on Twitter, and a lot of people agreed with me, so much so that people came to me and said, look, we need to come together now and take some action as fans. See, forget about the recent events with David Tennant and the T-shirt and all of that, right? We've got to talk about BBC as an organisation itself.
Yeah.
Right? Again, this person was allowed to go on and continue to present for another 7 to 11 weeks, as quoted. So Tim Davie knew about this, but never took the presenter.
No, can I just step in there just very quickly?
Yeah.
A year and a half ago, Alex Belfield stated the second allegation. I know he's a prison rat. I know he's got a criminal record, but he stated it on his podcast, and it got taken down.
Well, he stated it because he was. Listen, no matter what you think of Alex, right? I found him a bit of a knob sometimes. I'm not going to lie,
Yeah.
But you cannot take away the fact that this guy was eager to dig into the cesspool that was the BBC, and he did expose a lot. He's only in prison because he got accused of stalking, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he exposed a lot, and we mustn't forget that. Just because he's in prison, listen, this is what happens. Anybody speaks up against it, right? Jill Dando, that journalist from years ago, the rumor is she was about to release a story on the biggest S ring that was ever in the UK, and then we look what happened to her. People are silenced, okay?
Yeah. It's very funny how that happens around the BBC as well. People end up going to prison or just disappearing. Very
That's
funny,
what I mean.
isn't it?
But as fans, right, we've got to look at it from this point of view, right? We support shows like Doctor Who, and some of you out there might support other shows that the BBC produce. But you've got to really ask yourself a question. Should you be really supporting an organisation that harbours those type of people? I can't say the word on here, but I used it on Twitter. My Twitter stream, actually, I was actually very straight about it. It harbours these kind of people. So we've got to ask ourselves, should we be supporting them? Should we be supporting any TV show, not just Doctor Who? Should we be buying the merch? Is there not a moral conflict there? I mean, how many incidents, right? And you just have to really think about this, folks. How many incidents, right, or cover-ups do the BBC have to do before the public decide, okay, this organisation is rotten to the core. We have to stop. We have to defund the BBC. We have to stop legally paying our TV license. You can get rid of your TV license legally nowadays, right? It's easy to do. It's just they don't tell you how to do it, but it is easy to do. Loads of people that we know have actually given up their TV license, right? You have to ask yourselves the question, how many, you know what I mean? Because when you buy their merchandise, it doesn't matter what TV show it is. I'm not just including Doctor Who here or to dig at Doctor Who because of what David Tennant did. This is the whole organisation. I said this even before the David Tennant thing dropped, right? So people could see me stream on Twitter. I said all of this before that David Tennant thing dropped, right? So you got to really look at this. Like, we've talked about boycotts in the past, but we've never really went through with it. I've kept it up for a couple of months, and then when something shiny new came out, I decided to give it a go. But we can't do it this time. We cannot support that organisation anymore. Look, I'll leave it to the individual person to make up his or her own mind. It's the same situation similar to the Flash movie. I still haven't watched that on a moral objection. Yeah. Right? And I still haven't watched it. And I have no plans of ever watching it. Right? I don't care what people say about it. And the things that I heard about it anyway, I don't want to watch it. Right? But I'm not watching it because the lead cast member of that has been charged with crimes. And we all seen what he did. Yeah. So, you know, we've got to really, if we want Hollywood and we want BBC to clean up their act, we've got to take action. We can't continue to support these organizations who take our money and then harbor these people within their walls. Exactly. Right? And then when they're told about it, then they keep these people on air before someone else comes forward, and then they decide to suspend that person. Right? Remember, right, Jimmy Savile, that cop that did that expose, said it to us at the time, and nobody took him seriously. He said it was the tip of the iceberg within that organisation, right? And just because after Savile, BBC made all of these promises and have been pandering for the last few years, it still doesn't negate the fact that that organisation is still rotten to the core.
They've broken their promises now, that's all I'm going to say.
Right? And here's the thing, I can guarantee it hasn't come out yet, but I guarantee you that there was other people within the BBC that knew that this was happening and didn't open their mouths again. Or went to the management and said it to the management. And again, like ITV's management, didn't do anything serious about it. So we cannot, I can't anyway. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But if you have any morals, right? And you have and you have any self-respect, right? And you care for the well-being of people, right? And victims, and you care about them getting justice and all of this. You don't support BBC whatsoever. But again, I can't tell you what to do. So this is what's going to happen on this channel. I said we were going to have a conversation. I was going to leave it till next week, but we might as well talk about it today. The Tardis Zone is going to be rebranded completely, right? It's not going to feature the name Tardis in it. It's not going to, it's done. I am done following anything got to do with Doctor Who, and that includes Classic for the moment, right?
Yeah,
I am not supporting Doctor Who in any way until that organisation, until everybody in that organisation has been cleared out that knew about this or whatever. Everybody needs to be cleared out. It's a cesspit, right? So the Tardis Zone, I've talked to Lee. We're gonna he hasn't responded back yet, but we're gonna talk. Obviously, I'm gonna pay for the rebrand because I don't expect them to do it for nothing this time. But the Tardis Zone is going to be rebranded Noel Zone. That's the new name I'm going forward with. All the social media accounts are going to be going under Noel Zone. I am no longer covering Doctor Who on this channel. I am not doing it because I believe that the BBC, even after this incident, will not change their ways, and they'll be a few years away from another few fucking allegations. I'm done. They've broke my heart, right? This has been, I've thought about this the last couple of days, and this has been the hardest decision that I've made because I've worked hard to do what I've done on this channel, but I can no longer move forward while they're doing what they're doing. And with David Tennant as well was the final straw for me. I mean, to put that t-shirt on, you're supporting something that's very dangerous, and I don't know if he realizes, but seeing that was the final straw for me. So I'm done. And as you have seen, we've tried not to talk about Doctor Who on this channel, and I've made a real serious effort, but moving forward, I just cannot do it anymore. I'm done.
No, I don't blame you. No, I do
for
not
now,
blame you one bit.
I'm not doing New Who anyway. Classic Who maybe in the future, but right now, no, nothing. I'm doing nothing. So we'll move forward. We'll do the streams that we're doing. We'll talk about the stuff that we're doing because we've been doing other stuff and we've been enjoying that. And that's what I'm going to focus on. Doctor Who is dead on this channel for now. It's done. And no, Jack, this is nothing.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jack, don't feel
Jack, this is actually nothing to do with you. Right? Yeah, the RTD has been a prick. We know that. But this is nothing to do with you. I want to make that clear. This has got to do with the fact that the BBC have again harboured someone that has done disgusting things within their, well, obviously not in the what, well, we don't know the details. We don't know if he was just doing it at home. But again, they didn't act when they should have acted, right? How many Jimmy Saviles or other incidents like that do we need before people say enough is enough with the BBC? That's the reason. And then David Tennant on top of that coming out and supporting that cult in the way that he did. No. That was it for me. David Tennant was it. That was it. Once he did that, that's it. I was done. I'm done. I'm not going to support them anymore. And then you have Mr. Tardis accusing the BBC of homophobia, and then he comes out today and says he can't wait to watch Shooting Gatwa play the Doctor. I mean, not that I agree with you that BBC is being homophobic. What a fucking hypocrite you are anyway.
Yeah.
Just goes to show you where your morals are. If you believe that BBC are homophobic, why are you watching Doctor Who? Why would you watch a show if the organisation is homophobic as you accuse them of? And I'll get into that a little bit later because I will be doing a Twitter stream on you later. So you can tune in for that. I'm pretty sure you're probably listening now. So you can tune in for that because I'm going to go all out on you tonight. Because that's the humour I'm in. But that's what I'm going to do. Listen, the only thing that's going to change on this channel is when I'm talking Doctor Who. Right? That's it. right? Everything else that we do is not going to change. I'm not going to change, right? I'm still going to call things out in other stuff that we do if I don't like it. I just can't bring myself to talk about this show anymore. And I cannot support an
Don't
organisation.
blame
I
you.
know some people
Don't
will
blame you.
argue, but it's under Disney as well. Yeah, but BBC Studios as well,
Oh, Disney.
right? And
Quality.
once it's got BBC Studios attached to it, I want nothing to do with it. It's as simple as that. And I'm not watching it. I don't care. You can enjoy, watch the 60th. I won't be watching it. And I won't. I'm not watching the 60th. I don't care. I'm done. I'm done.
Jack, Jack.
So you's all got yous our wish out there, all you haters. You's gotta. I'm done. Well done.
Yeah.
Right? He's
There's
got yous
always
our
Star Trek.
show. Right? You can support. You can support an organisation that harbours these type of people and be proud of it because they pander to you. You go ahead, because we already know that none of yous have fucking morals in this fandom or no self-respect. But I do, and I'm out. And Jack, again, as I said, it's nothing to do with you. You have nothing to be worried about. This is a series of things that have happened over time, and I'm just done. But it's good now. I'm leaving as the null zone because that's what everybody used to call me in the chat, and it's recognizable, and everybody's used to calling me null zone. So I'm gonna say that's what it's going to be rebranded. Null Zone. It's not going to be connected to any TV show. Zone will stay because I like that and it works well with me name. But it's Null Zone. That's it, right? It's not going to have any connection to any TV show. It's going to have my name. At the end of the day, it's my channel anyway. So I might as well be front and fucking center of it. So that's where I'm going with that. You know, and I know there's a couple of other people as well that are considering rebranding their channels as well. And you know what? I think it is the right move. I really do. I really do. You know me. It's been a while since I got upset. Right? And I can remember, I think you can all remember the last time I was upset.
Yeah, brought me to the fandom.
Okay. So I just can't. This whole society as well, it's morally corrupt. It's disgusting. It disgusts me. I wake up and I'm just fucking another day in this fucking nightmare that is this life right now that we're all living. There's just nothing to look forward to. The only thing that keeps me going is me wife, me dog, and all of you guys here. That's it. And now me other new projects like me Man United channel, which I'm really enjoying doing right now. And this is why we're doing other stuff on the Tardis Zone, because I really enjoy it. And I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing on here now. Right? The last few years I haven't enjoyed it. You all know that. Because I didn't want to be coming on here week in, week out. Neither did Charlotte, neither the PD, neither the Lee, Rabbi, or any other guest we have on. We didn't want to be coming on here for the last 5 fucking years giving out about Doctor Who. And then getting into the neck that we were getting it for the last 5-6 years. And I'm still getting it. One of the creeps from the early days is back on me now, sending me fucking all disgusting pictures, talking about me wife again, saying how she deserved it and how he's going to screw her behind me back and all of this crap. This is what I'm getting now. Right? So why should I give my time to a show and an organisation that has never backed us the fuck up?
No. Because I've been kicking us on way down.
Now, I've said me piece, right? I'm going to calm down now and we're going to get on with other stuff, unless the guys want to comment on what I've said there and give their opinion. But that's where I stand on it. I hope you understand, right? Because I don't want to think, I don't want people out there to think, because this is why this has been a hard decision for me. Because I know you all love the Tardis Zone name. I know you do, right? Everybody loves it, including myself, right? But it's tainted, man.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion, right now. And I just can't move forward with it. So I hope you understand, and I hope you won't leave because I've rebranded, because that does happen. right? Some people do leave. I hope you don't. I hope you stay with me, because I'm not going to change in the way I talk about other stuff and report on other stuff. I just can't do Doctor Who. So I'm done with it now. And hopefully you will come along with me on this new journey. And, you know, maybe one day I'll be able to make peace with Doctor Who, and hopefully BBC does change their act. The best thing BBC can do is actually just collapse as an organisation. That would be the dream scenario, but it's never going to. But I just hope one day that the people that work within those walls actually care about the organisation and actually care about the kind of stuff that they put out, and make sure that their staff are checked, vetted.
Yeah.
And this is the problem as well. A lot of their staff are never checked and vetted, and it doesn't matter how long you're working, you know.
Oh no, do you know why they're not checked? I'll tell you why they're not checked. Because most of them is a cousin of another member of the BBC or a nephew. It's all inbred.
Yeah. It's just like RTE, PD, Rich, the same thing. Yeah. Generational presenters. That's what I call it. Yeah. It's a generational organisation. Yeah. Their kids, their brothers and sisters' kids and all that. Yeah. It's a place for them to get their work experience and move up the ranks. And
yeah. The only people that get work experience in the BBC is if you know someone in the BBC, from what I've been told by my friends. You have to be either super hot, and you have to come from like Oxford or Cambridge with a first to get in there, or you have to know someone, and they'll put you straight to the top of the list. Oh yes. Oh, you're so and so son. Oh yes, you can have work experience. Oh, do you want an internship? And they get given it on a silver platter. Or you have to be, or another way is you have to be there from when you're like 16, 17, after you've done your GCSEs. You have to plug your way in, and they'll start, let you climb up the ladder. It's all completely biased. I've seen it all before. I mean, I've been told about it. Do you know what? I'll give you my 5 cents on this. I would be actually told by lecturers at universities, don't go to the BBC. Stay away from it. And ITV. Stay away from ITV. So I have. And that's come from lecturers. Quite good lecturers. That's what's going on in the back.
It's just... And this is why I've been so angry with the BBC over the last 5-6 years. Because we've all seen all that pandering and all this diversity and inclusion is to make up for the last time they screwed up and covered something up. Right? Which means, you know what's going to happen again.
It's going to get worse.
They're going to triple down this time, because they think that's the way they'll be able to regain the British public's trust. Let me tell you, I'm not from Britain, right? Or the UK, I should say. I'm not from the UK. Right, but I could tell you now, anybody listening from the BBC, you don't have a reputation anymore. It's on the floor.
Destroyed.
The British public do not trust the BBC and never will trust the BBC again. He's had a chance to actually, get it right after Savile. He's overcompensated in certain areas to try do that and pandered to a small minority of the whole population of the planet anyway, but a small minority in the UK to try win back the trust. And it's backfired because nobody is watching their shows.
He's got no trust.
Even the Great East Enders has actually, the ratings have nosedived because you put your woke ideology in it.
40%.
Right? And this is what's happened. This is why I called you out, because I know what game you were playing. Right? He's never gave two fucks about the LGBTQ plus community. No, not once. I'm not calling he's homophobic like Mr. Tardis, but she's never cared like he's pretended to care. Right? It was all pandering, but this was the excuse and a way for you to try win over the British public. And now what's going to happen after this scan? It's going to get worse. And Charlotte is right. It's going to get worse. So BBC is going to become unwatchable. Nobody listens to their news anyway, and now nobody is watching their programs. And if people think that Doctor Who is safe, Disney Plus already is getting rid of their own shows and is in trouble, right? BBC with this scandal now is hitting hard, right? Doctor Who 60th, it'll be lucky if it does well now. I'm telling you now. And if you think that this latest scandal won't affect people, on watching Doctor Who. Anybody that has has morals, or anybody that has any respect for victims out there will tune out, just like they did with the Flash movie. Some did go and watch it because they claim to have morals and all of that, but they still go and watch the fucking thing. I haven't watched that movie, and that's the truth.
No, right.
I haven't watched it. I haven't even watched the new Indiana Jones movie. I watched
that.
the first 3 movies, and I left it at that. I didn't even watch Crystal Skulls, man.
Oh, you did well to not watch that movie.
Well, it's not as bad as
I did watch Crystal Skulls years ago, but I mean, when I got to the Last Crusade, Charlotte, I stopped. That's where that movie franchise ends for me, where they ride off into the sunset. That's perfect. I just can't do classic Who right now either, because it's still supporting the BBC, isn't it? So,
in a way, it's kind of supporting
you know what I mean.
Studios.
So it's a shame. I've grown up with this show all my life. All my life.
Yeah.
I've known 2 sci-fi shows growing up as a kid. Doctor Who and the original Trek, and then of course I grew up during the era of Next Generation. So you might as well say 3 sci-fi shows. But they were the benchmarks. Doctor Who especially. And I'm actually gutted, man. I'm actually gutted. That's why I was going to come on camera today, because I was on camera earlier on, but I can't because I'm a mess. I just really can't. And, I'll be slagged off for this again, because they always love to slag me off and I get upset. I don't care. You just don't understand. And you never will.
No, they don't understand the franchise.
What the show means to us. And now it's being tainted because of scumbags within the organisation.
Yeah. No, it shows they don't understand the franchise either. They don't understand how attached we are to it. That's the thing. It shows that they're not real fans.
They'll never be attached to it. Like
they're not real fans. It shows. They show themselves up by attacking you when you're upset.
Yeah, Jack, we'll get you on again. Actually, if you want to come on with me, Lee, and PD Rich on Friday, you come on Friday, because we got a bit of Blue Beetle news, and we've got other news you can sink your teeth into. What I'll do is I'll send you the links that I've put in the chat. In fairness, that would have been a nice name, but as you know, I'm not as big as a fan of Blake Seven as some of my panelists. Don't get me wrong, I do love the show, but I don't love it as much as Doctor Who. So I couldn't do that. That's why I've decided with Noel's Own as well, because I wouldn't want to pour it, because I'm a Trekkie as well. I could have called it a Trek Zone or something like that, but I didn't want to do that. So. And everybody does call me Noel's Own. So, when the haters do call me Noel's Own. So I decided, wind them up as well at the same time. So I'll take that name. So kind of stuck. So there you go, Noel's Own.
No, and it's like you said, recently we have been talking other stuff, and we've enjoyed it. We've all said these Wednesday streams have been that fun free-for-all.
That's it. We've been doing other stuff. But actually, let's get into it. Have we any Witcher news this week, Queen Charlotte?
Yeah, viewing figures have started to come in.
Right. Looking good, bad, indifferent?
Oh, it's worse than I thought. Because I thought, there's probably going to be a big drop for the season 1 premiere. And they were like, and at first the news came out, it's 15%. So they got 1.1 million versus 1.3 million last season premiere. And I was like, okay, that's not as much of a drop. It's the other part of the news which is really surprising, and I think is going to be really panicking now, the higher ups, which is for the first time they have lost viewers by episode by episode by episode.
So just like Doctor Who did under Jodie, episode by episode, they kept losing viewers.
And it's not a little bit. So by the time you get to the 5th episode, which is where they split it, the end of like the first half, they have lost half of their viewer base from the premiere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're now
we-
currently on about 500,000 households watched episode
Yeah.
5 of season 3.
Wow. That's pathetic, man. Jack, thanks for the lovely comments, man. I'm seeing everybody's comments as well. I appreciate it that you are all gonna stick by. That means a lot because it really was. I've been toying with this actually for a couple of months, believe it or not. But I think the last couple of days have really made the decision easier for me. But still, at the same time, even though it is easier to make that decision, it still hurts a little bit.
I know.
As I
Always
said,
does.
this is a show
Always
I've
does.
watched since I was a 3-year-old. My dad was a fan, and he introduced me to Doctor Who. Now, obviously, he stopped watching it. Well, actually, he didn't. He watched it all the way up to the end, but by that time, he was kind of, let's just say, he wasn't as enthusiastic about it. Just like us, the way we were with the Whittaker era. He was like that with the late 80s run of Doctor Who. He didn't like it at all, actually. But we still watched it. So if that's the sad thing. It's like 40 years of my life.
Yeah, I know.
40 years, and I'm finally just done. I actually thought I'd be worse than what I am now, but I think with all the stuff that's happened over the years, I think I've kind of prepared myself.
Yeah, can I give you a bit of advice though? Like with Star Trek, there's always a bit of hope. Just keep a little bit of hope.
Yeah, I
There
haven't
might be
watched.
a clean out.
Yeah, I haven't
There
watched
always is.
Strange New World season 2 yet because I want to binge watch it, but I haven't heard anybody complaining about it, so it must be doing well.
You haven't been on Rabbi's channel, have you?
All right, it
Oh,
must
he's
be that.
funny.
All right, we've got
Yeah.
Matt the Silent Will King Music in the chat. Nice to have you. It's a new name, so that's why I'm unless it's someone that we know and they've just changed their name.
Yeah, it's Matt from Rabbi's stream. He's on Rabbi's stream.
All right. Well, welcome, Matt. Nice to see you, mate. We got Zombie Box reviews in the chat as well. But yeah, The Witcher not looking good. The Legend of the Traveling Tardis is also in the chat as well.
Well, the thing is with The Witcher, they probably were like, oh, we'll do this split because that will help us with viewership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they've lost viewers for every episode and now they're going on a break.
So
And
which
Yeah.
means the public, if it's been that bad and nobody's talking about it, they've taken a break now. It's a bit like what Stephen Moffat did. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
When he split the season in half. The first half of it was actually pretty decent. It was the second half that was absolutely terrible. But what you're saying is the first half is terrible. They've gone on a break now. When's it coming back? How long is the break have they gone
The
for?
end of this month.
Jesus Christ, man. It's done. It's
But
done.
here's the thing. It's like, I was like, maybe this season they'll suffer some ways. Like I said, my guess beforehand was probably the premiere will be down, but then it'll like sort of balance itself out. Like I said, never have they lost viewers episode by episode
Yeah.
before. This
It's
is a
the
new
first.
thing for them. And it's not just like 10% of your viewership each episode. It's 50%.
Right. He says he got
And-
banned from Rabbi's streams. I mean, if you're getting banned from Rabbi's streams, you must be really
Yeah, it wasn't me that banned you, Matt.
you must have really done something, because to be banned off one of Rabbi's chats, man, come on. What did you do?
So be a good boy, Matt.
I
So,
told you out
yeah.
a few times, but I didn't ban you. It wasn't me.
Yeah, maybe some of the other mods on the channel were overzealous. That can happen sometimes. For complaining about those sometimes very graphic thumbnails.
Oh, you'll be at home here then. You'll be at home.
Well, look, I said this to people. Rabbi has actually explained this to people as well. you shouldn't really be taking these thumbnails that seriously, because he's openly admitted that he makes them that way because he knows he gets a reaction. He said it. He has said it himself. Like, it's come out of the horse's mouth. Everything that he does with those thumbnails, he knows is driving you guys up the wall. Isn't it? Bottom line is, just stop reacting to it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he's still going to go on stream and say the things that he's going to say and give his opinions. You know what I mean? But the thumbnails do exactly what they're designed to do, is to get a reaction. He even said it when there was that big backlash against him. And he said it then, that the thumbnails were wind up. So, because Rabbi just doesn't give a crap. He's one of those YouTubers. He just doesn't. It's like water off a duck's back. He knows that he upsets people, but to him, he's not doing it deliberately. You have to make that clear, right? Even though he knows he's getting a reaction out of it, he never did those thumbnails intentionally to wind people up, but he knew then they start winding people up, so he kept doing them. So now he's just doing them for the sake of bloody doing them, because you've all reacted to them. So, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, there's just thumbnails. If people have a problem with the thumbnails, you know what I mean? It's just a bloody thumbnail. You just need to kind of get over it. It's not as if he's showing, you know, at the end of the day, sometimes I think he goes, everybody will say it, sometimes we think he does go a little bit too far, but I know what he's I know what he's doing. So it doesn't bother me, and it shouldn't bother anybody else out there. At the end of the day, all that should matter is when you go and watch a rabbi stream, do you agree with him? Do you disagree with him? Give your opinion. And that's what it's all about. If we all agreed all of the time, we'd be living in a pretty mundane society.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So it's good to have opposite opinions, and Rabbi welcomes that. But when you go in, and I'm not saying you have, but I've seen it with other people. I've even been on stream with them. You know, people go in and then they just abuse them. You know, you know, that's not the way you start off a conversation with them. If you want to actually engage, he's even like said to people, he said it to them, even tagged them and said, look, if you want to come on and have a discussion about my point of view and give your point of view, you're more than welcome to come onto the channel and express that view. But nobody will go onto his channel. It's the same here. How many times have we invited people on the opposite side of the argument onto this channel, and the few that have come on have tried to take the channel down?
Yeah.
By pretending to be someone else and then playing porn sounds in the background to try and get the stream demonetized. So, you know, it's not as if Rabbi doesn't offer to bring people on. So I think people just need to kind of chill out when it comes to those thumbnails. You know, because Rabbi doesn't mean any harm, and I know that because I got to know the chap, right? As I said, sometimes a lot of us do think he does, you know, touch that line sometimes, but I never see him cross that line. It's just people react because of the society that we live in today, because people can't either take a joke or are weak-minded. You know what I mean? I mean, if you have a problem seeing a woman in a bikini, then you have serious issues in all fairness. You know what I mean? It's not as if, you know, all this crap, but it's Millie Gibson and all this. Well, she is an adult. I mean, if you have a problem with that, that's your dirty mentality, your dirty mind. He just puts the thumbnails together without even thinking that.
Yeah,
but you think that. So that's the way I look at it. You know, he's not the one with the dirty mind. So all you thinking the dirty thing and thinking that. So leave it out, man. Everybody's entitled to do what they do on that channel anyway.
Jesus, 6 months ago. This would be fun. Look, Matt, I can try something for you, but you know, it might work, it might not. But as you brought it to attention, you were nice about it. I'll try something.
EastEnders is not doing well, Lindsay. You're absolutely right there.
Yeah.
It's an absolute shambles right now. But looks like The Witcher is an absolute shambles as well. It's just crazy that they keep pumping out this shit and expecting us to like it. And actually, I'll ask you guys' opinion on this because I don't know if you've seen it. So the new trailer for Wonka has dropped. I didn't even know they were making another
Yeah,
Wonka movie, but it's a prequel.
yeah.
Because when I reported on it, I didn't know it was a prequel because I complained that there was no Charlie, and I thought Charlie was replaced by a little girl. Obviously, we won't get into the politics side of it, but the same shit that they do with every other movie, the all diversity and inclusion. And I looked at the trailer. I have to be honest, it looks absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Hugh Grant is playing an Oompa Loompa, which might be funny. But this has disaster written all over it. If they don't stick to the source material and they start injecting all of this politic into it, it's dead and buried. There's only two versions.
I would argue this is another issue. It's not so much the source material, because I read the Roald Dahl books growing up, and you never really got a backstory for Wonka. But that's the issue. I think that was the appeal of the character, that he was this really mysterious, this sort of wonderful, sort of eccentric character that you didn't quite know why. You just were presented him in the first book. And then even the sequel, they didn't really go a lot into his background. So my bigger question would just be, do I really want to know about his backstory?
Well, the Johnny Depp version showed a condensed background of him from his childhood to when he went away, then discovered the Oompa Loompas and discovered these new things that he could use to make his sweets and stuff like that. So they have covered it. There is 2 books. Yeah, there's the Glass Elevator one as well, isn't there?
There's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. But
yeah, the Great Glass Elevator. But Charlotte is right. Even in those stories, they don't go too much into his background in those stories. I agree with Charlotte. I don't think he should be making an origins story of Willy Wonka. I just don't see it.
It was covered at the beginning
It's,
of the
like I
Johnny
said,
Depp film.
I'll never forget the original movie, because it's one of my favourite movies growing up. And I'll never forget his entrance, because it was just so.
That was iconic.
It was Gene Wilder at his height, wasn't it? The fact that he came out like the old man.
Yeah, and then the cane gets stuck in the yoke, and then he does a somersault, doesn't he? And he goes, yeah, brilliant, man.
And that's what I mean. It's weird and eccentric. And that's what Roald Dahl was. His characters, especially his adults, if they weren't villains, they were weird. That's how he tend to write adults.
Yeah.
And he never really gave backstories, because you could tell he wasn't interested in that stuff. He just thought of these wonderful creations. And for me, Wonka is that you can almost just, you can wonder about him. But like I said, he's that wizard. For me, he's the ultimate sort of wizard character.
It's like what they did with, I know it's a different franchise altogether, but it's like what they did with Alien franchise, where Ridley Scott decided that he wanted to explore the origins of the alien, but the whole point of the xenomorph was there was that mystery behind it. Where did it come from? We kind of were glad that we didn't know where the spaceship actually came from. Yeah. But in those movies, he tried to explore that. And I think now he has actually tainted the lore of, of the alien now. Now we kind of know it's man created, God created man, man created android, android creates alien. Like a ridiculous conception of Ridley Scott. I mean, you know, this is what happens when you get these old directors thinking they can relive past glories, and they ruin their own franchises. And it's the same with Doctor Who with this timeless child nonsense. They tried to give us an origin story for the Doctor that wasn't needed. There was enough mystery there, but they wanted to blow that mystery completely away. But then Chibnall's whole thing was, well, we're adding to it, and then we will still leave a bit of mystery. But if you're showing how the Doctor came about in your weird, timeless children's story, torturing and murdering kids just to get regenerated, if that's the foundation of the Time Lords, like the way you did it, well then, well, number one, the audience is going to be angry. But number two, we're Doctor Who fans. Did you ever ask Doctor Who fans if they wanted an Origins story? The only ones that wanted an Origins story are the idiots in the fandom that actually claim to be fans, but they're not actually fans. They're only interested in who the characters are sleeping with, what their pronouns are, what their skin color is, and what their sex is. Right? That's all they're interested in. But for the rest of us, we need a little bit more substance than that. You know what I mean? But you didn't ask the fans.
I'm just thinking back to the remake, because like you said, they did go into his family a bit and his dad. And even though they had Christopher Lee playing the dad, so it was a really good actor in the role, from my memory, it was just, oh God, I didn't need to know Wonka had an abusive father.
Yeah, we all know it was Christopher Lee.
It was just like, I didn't need to know that that's why maybe he's a bit whimsical. He's a bit sort of that child thing, inner child thing like he has about him. Probably because his dad was a piece of work. Because it brings him down to earth. And Roald Dahl's creations, this is why I was so annoyed so angry with the censorship stuff a couple of months ago with the Roald Dahl books. Because Roald Dahl's creations they work and they're timeless because they are so unique. You can't get the likes of Willy Wonka, the Witches, the Trunchbull, so many other Dahl creations, the BFG. You can't get them in any other books because they are pure from the mind and imagination of Dahl. And you could tell he wanted the most silly, the most outlandish, and the most inspirational, honestly, because I've always seen Wonka as a very inspirational figure. The fact that he just wanted to create chocolate for children because he wanted to have that enjoyment. He wanted to give that wonder, that sense of enjoyment to children across the world.
Yeah.
Apparently, Matt's been trying to put in the message 6 times or something. It says error, try again.
Refresh.
You probably need to refresh, yeah.
It happens to mods as well. We all get it. It's just one of the things.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people out there that don't really like the Johnny Depp version. Look, the Gene Wilder version will never be beaten.
It's different.
But it's different, and I like that. It was different.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed some of the songs in it as well, even though it was definitely and certainly a different take on it. And the kid in it that played Charlie was actually very likable. I think that's what won me over. And yeah, Johnny Depp's version is a bit out there, but I actually liked that. I did. I liked the way he portrayed Wonka, but let's be honest, I think Gene Wilder for everybody is the GOAT. But remember, even the great Roald Dahl didn't like the movie with Gene Wilder. So, fans said different. It was only in his later years when he saw the love for it and stuff like that, he came to terms with it. But he never actually liked the movie with Gene Wilder. So I got to set that record straight there. So we might have liked it, but Roald Dahl certainly didn't like it. Now, I don't know why they're doing an Origins. What I'd like them to do is just do a frame by frame of the book and do a proper Wonka story the way it's supposed to be done and try to fit it all on screen. Even if the movie is 2.5 hours long, do it 2.5 hours long. But do it the way it should be done. Did he do Danny the Champion of the World as well? Wasn't that him?
Not sure.
Yeah, that's a Roald Dahl book.
Yeah, because Guy Pearce actually.
Thanks, Christian.
Oh no, Jeremy Irons actually did a movie of that Danny the Champion of the World. It's one of my favorite movies actually that they did of his books. And Jeremy Irons is in it. He plays obviously Danny's dad, and you see the whole. If you read the book and you watch the movie, it's actually frame by frame. It's very well done. And I think that movie is free on YouTube, folks. So if you want to go and watch it, Danny, the champion of the world, Jeremy Irons, it's well worth watching. It's one of Jeremy Irons' old movies. One of his, he wasn't a huge star as such, like back then, but his star was on the rise. But this is one of these films, The Legend of the Traveling Tardis, Doctor Who. Doctor isn't the Doctor because he's the chosen one. The Doctor is the Doctor because of the choices he made. Don't need backstories, just good stories, and that's exactly the point. And thank you for that super chat, Christian. I really do appreciate it. Cinnamon says, same with the original Spider-Man comics and Ultimate Spider-Man. The Ultimate version retold the story, but in the 2000s instead of the early 60s. Was it true the original film was only made to sell actual chocolate bars? That's that's a myth that has gone around for a very, very long time. And there is there's a couple of YouTube channels out there anyway that look into all of these. No, I don't think the purpose of the movie was to sell chocolate bars.
They're a gimmick for the second movie, because I remember having them. They weren't that good. They were just Nestle bars.
But there was for the second. If you're talking about the second movie, yes, they did come up with these Wonka bars, and as PD said, they were like sugar shy. I mean, they were horrible. I was actually even excited when I got one of those squibbly wibbly bars, whatever you bleeding call them, right? Scrumpy, wumpy, whatever. You had a version of them, right? And I bought it. The chocolate was cheap. It was full of sugar, and it was just horrible. The Wonka bars are horrible. They're still selling them. They're still selling them in the fancy candy shops.
God, I remember them. Got them from Woolworths. Oh, I remember
Seriously. Them. Oh, man, you wouldn't even put them... Do you know what? You wouldn't even make Rice Krispie cakes out of them.
I can remember them. That's funny. I can remember them. I remember the one with the popping candy, and oh, God, that was horrible.
I don't think they ever made Georgie's Mad. I don't think they ever made that into a movie. But again, I probably haven't seen them all, but they've made most of these books, I do know, have been made into some sort of...
There's still a good chunk that hasn't. There's still a good chunk that hasn't because he wrote so many books.
Yeah, but they're trying to, as you said now, they're trying to change them and stuff because, people are upset about some of the terminology. And because,
because Roald Dahl loved to call characters mad. He loved to use certain words, and you could tell he was saying there was no offense at all intended.
Yeah, I mean, he was
they sold Wonka bars in the 70s as well, though. I didn't know that. Now I've got to be honest. I'm talking about the Wonka bars that they recently sold. When the Johnny Depp movie came out, they brought them back out again, or maybe it wasn't even the same company, but they were horrible. So maybe the ones in the 70s were proper, and more than likely they probably were, because nowadays we're all health conscious and they put all shits into our stuff.
Yeah, they did in the 70s. They were the original. Nestle made the new ones because they've got a license. That's why they're made by Nestle. Now I'm by Ferrero, so there we go. Might be the next Wonka bars might actually taste good.
Yeah, 2005. Tardis time. That's when they came back. Yeah, they were horrible, man. Maybe back in the day, they were lovely. As I said, in the 70s, they probably were. Because it was a gimmick for the new movie to try sell chocolate bars as well. But yeah. But
I can guess why Warner's doing this, though. I can guess.
What?
I can guess why Warner's doing it. Why they're doing this prequel.
Yeah, it's the Wonka bars. Make some money back.
Maybe.
Maybe, but I just think at the moment they are struggling when it comes to actual profitable movies. So they're
I
just
know.
going to anything with a name that can possibly have any audience
Yeah, and
and
they're
going.
connecting something to us. So, like for Charlie and Chocolate Factory chocolate, you know, you are right. A lot of movies are doing that now, where they'll even bring out their own merch and stuff like that. I've noticed that lately, because you are right. The movies aren't making money, but they need to sell. What they don't realize is that the movie actually has to be good for you to shift merchandise.
Yeah, exactly. Fake Wonka bars.
I mean, it makes no sense, man. Absolutely ridiculous. A lucky bag was a treat. And yeah, we used to get them even growing up in the 80s. A lucky bag.
Oh
Used to
yeah.
love getting them, man. Used to love getting them. 20p you got a lucky bag for 10p, I remember back in the day. They were
Yeah.
cheaper then. You could get them for 5p when we were growing up. Then they went up to 10p. Then you went up to 15p, and then you went up to 20p. But they got better. That was the thing, though. Even though the price went up, they actually got better. They actually put better stuff in them. Nowadays, they just rip you off completely. Have you seen a Magnum lately? Do you remember
Oh
Magnums when
yeah.
they first came out?
Massive.
Like they were the
Massive.
size of your hand, right?
Yep.
You buy a Magnum now, you can wrap your whole fucking hand around them. 2 Magnums.
Yeah.
They're that small. But yet they
Yeah.
charge you 3 times the
price.
price
Yeah.
that we paid back in the fucking 90s when Magnums first came out. Fuck off.
I know. Like,
A Winker bar. Yeah. A Winker bar. I like that. Oompa Loompa. Doobie doobie. Oh no, don't even get me singing fucking shit. If you're wise, you'll listen to me. Eat Wonka bars. They taste awful. They fucking do taste fucking awful.
yeah.
Anyway, that's Willy Wonka. But I don't see this movie doing well. I said when I saw the poster, I was worried, and then I saw the trailer. Now I'm definitely worried, because I think we do love his books, and
Yeah.
you know, let's be honest, I don't think he's ever been satisfied with anything that has been adapted into film or anything.
No, he never was.
I don't think he ever has been. And I think if he was around today, I think after seeing that trailer, I think he'd be absolutely disgusted. It's going to be a musical, though, like the original.
Yeah, but it looks more like a Johnny Depp one. That's the thing. It's like,
Look, we'll
mixed
give your
universe.
man a chance. He might play a good Wonka, but from what I heard of his dialogue, and then he actually in the trailer, they actually stole a Gene Wilder line directly
Yeah.
out of his movie, and I don't like that. I
No.
don't like that. That's member berries, and we don't need that
Yeah.
from the new one. No, sorry. And I know it's a prequel, and you're probably trying to connect it to the first movie, which, if it works out, will be great and all. But I just don't hold. It's not like the Wizard of Oz movie where they did the prequel with James Franco and Mila Kunis, which was actually very good. I don't see this doing the same thing, and we've lost Queen Charlotte.
Be back in a
Hopefully
minute. It's just restarting a laptop. She's got a problem.
Okay. Gene Wilder was the best Willy Wonka, says Nicholas Horton. We do agree with you there.
Yep. Totally, mate.
It has crappy eurisms in it, says Curtin eurisms in it, says Skyscrapers, and that's the problem. It should be set in the time frame that it's supposed to be in.
They should only be allegorical. They shouldn't be in your face. That's why it's all failing.
He's definitely not going to like any of the new films. You're right, Cinnamon.
Yeah, totally, mate. Totally.
Was it Peter or Roger Blake who did the drawings in his book? Dolls.
Quentin Blake.
Quentin Blake, was it?
Yeah.
I have no Wonka preference.
You didn't want those Wonka bars, I tell you. Oh, God. Just the memories of them. God, I missed the 2000s. It was weird.
So, anything for me this week, PD?
I've got a little bit of
news.
Yeah, well, I got a bit of music news.
Go for it.
Yeah, my main concert was very good. I enjoyed myself. I had a really great time. I gave you a running commentary of what was happening, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Good
Yeah, my
seats, weren't
computer
they?
was going bing, 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 and I was like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it was a good concert. We had good seats. We got a fan
Well,
club
I'm
seat.
glad you enjoyed it. That's what it's all
Yeah,
about, isn't it, mate?
yeah.
There
And I,
she is. She's
yeah,
back,
yeah.
all
As I mentioned,
refreshed.
yeah.
I had to
As I,
restart
there we go.
for my camera to hopefully work now.
Oh, is it doing that
Fantastic.
Lenovo cutting out every once in a while where it wants to feel like it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically what it did to me. It just suddenly gave me a message saying your browser's not connecting. So I was like, oh, okay.
Oh god, yeah. I had a problem with my Lenovo camera. I had to I just reinstalled the drivers from the website, and they worked in the end. It's like just Lenovo software and cameras. Yeah.
But hopefully it's all right now. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, as I sort of said on the Robert Mind and Net's per Post Geek Singularity, they did The Prisoner, so it was brilliant. You know, the actual song based on the TV series.
Yeah.
So it was a really good night. I had a brilliant time. Yeah, the O2 Arena.
Big arena. Big
Oh,
arena. I
God,
saw
yes.
how big that arena was when What's Her Face did that song in it with Jordan Colvett. She did our music video there.
Oh, yeah.
It was Sophie Alex Bextor.
Yeah.
She right at the end of her video. It's actually a very, when you look back on it, what we went through, Jordan Colvett and the pandemic,
Yeah.
see how empty the streets were. But you get a bit of a lump in your throat to see, and when she's singing the song, like it's a pop song, but you get quite emotional watching her in all these different empty. The whole point of the video is she goes to all of these different clubs and they're all empty, and then she ends up at the end of the video in the O2 Arena on her own with a disco ball and a mic, and she's singing her song. And it's a fucking deadly video. It's called Crying Out for Discotheque. It was an old song done by another band, but Sophie decided to do it during lockdown. She just sang it and everybody liked it. And she released it as a single, and then she did the video then. And it shows what lockdown was actually like because everywhere was empty. So it's actually, that music video alone is an actual time capsule of what it was like during the pandemic, and you get a bit of a lump in your throat watching it. So Sophie Alex Bextor, Daniel likes her as well because I've played a few of her songs and he's a bit of a fan as well. She's great. Go and check her out. But yeah, I mean, again, O2 Arena, good to see that people are enjoying their lives again.
It was full. Oh,
so,
I went into the O2 bar as well. I got access to the bar and free access. So thanks to O2 for that. AKA Telefonica. I had a really good time, and the photo booth. We had a really good time. So thanks to them for that one. We had, as I said, good times with my mate. It was nice to get to a concert again. I haven't seen Iron Maiden for 13 years.
Fucking
live.
hell.
Yeah. Missed the last two live tours.
Did it feel a bit odd then, going like back to having so much like people around you and so much going on?
Yeah.
It felt good. It felt good. Strange enough, it felt good. Like, I felt like I was coming back into the family.
See, for you and other people out there, it's been a seamless transition. You have been able to click back into it.
Yeah.
While there's people like myself that have found the adjustment very hard. Listen, you could put me in a crowd a room full of people, and I would have years ago, and I would have had no problem in a room full of people. But since this whole thing happened, and I've been out there, I've taken panic attacks on buses and all.
Oh yeah, it's baby steps, mate. I got it in the beginning.
Too many people. She brought me into the city centre because she finally had enough of me just sitting around, and she wanted me to go into town with her.
Yeah.
The city centre. Got on the bus, and while I was on the bus, I was sweating, and I kept telling her, I can't, I need to get off the bus. She says, we're nearly there. Got off the bus. I was literally in the city centre for 5 minutes, and I just felt every building around me closing in, and I walked home. I told her I have to go, and I walked home. I couldn't do it. Anytime a crowd of people were coming towards me, I was crossing the road. That's what the pandemic has done to me.
Yeah.
I've gone from a person that used to have no problem in a crowd full of people. You could put me anywhere. You could put me in a stadium full of people. I wouldn't have a problem with it. And now I can't
Yeah.
even tolerate 3 people around me.
Yeah. It's weird living in North London and having to commute in. It was very strange at the beginning. I was like almost dressed up in my coat and everything, and my gloves and my mask. I was wearing an environmental suit. But slowly, the facts came out. I got to know people. I spoke to experts about it, and slowly the armor. I just started removing bits of the armor, taking them off, and getting used to being on crowded buses and crowded tube trains again. But it was hard, very hard in the beginning. They got easier. The more you do it, you just got to slowly take baby steps. You got to slowly push yourself out of your comfort zone, and then pull yourself back in, very slowly, and you'll suddenly start getting back to normal. It's hard to do now. It took me a while.
Yeah.
Do you have any problems, Charlotte?
No, I think it was because I'm naturally quite a keep to myself type person.
Yeah.
So to be inside a lot didn't massively affect me as much because
Yeah.
my mum's always said like I'm very happy with my own company. Like
Yeah.
I like to go out and to do stuff with my mates, but I can quite happily just read or sit and do very boring like solitary things. So it didn't really affect me. My friend it did because she had to commute and
Yeah.
during the height of it, and she was really struggling.
Yeah. It was
And
hard.
it sounds like, and it's very similar to what you were saying, Noel. The more she said to me, it took a while. She had to like get herself back to doing it. It was very much like that process of just doing it a bit until it doesn't become as panicky.
Yeah.
He did, Daniel.
Yeah, you never told anybody though, you little shit. Right, you had everybody worried. Right, I wasn't the only one that was worried, but you had lots of people worried because you don't normally just disappear and not say goodnight to everybody, and then like we don't hear from you for 22 hours, like, you know. So yeah, I did send out a search party, but I probably wasn't the only one. But I get the blame for it. Yeah,
Because
Yeah, I
we
was out
like
with
to
it
blame
Saturday.
you, Noel.
Yeah.
that's it. I'll take it though. But look, it's at least he knew everybody cared though. But it was like the next day he came back and he hadn't got a care in the world. He didn't know. didn't really register with him that everybody was worried about him until like someone like Daniel, we were worried about you. Like, glad that you enjoyed Guns N' Roses, but we were worried.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was funny. We did say we'd laugh about it.
Yeah.
And we did. And he was rocking out the Guns N' Roses. So again, Daniel was at a concert as well, enjoying himself. I wish
Seen
I
him since
just could
2006.
do that right now. But I am getting there. Because, you know, there's a couple of things that are happening in Dublin. So if I want to go and see them, I'm gonna have to get myself out the door, start getting used to. Well, now when Cheryl was away, now I went to the shop. Obviously, when she went away for the 4 days, and I had to go and get bits and pieces, I went to the shop. But I was okay. I wasn't as bad. Then, you know, I went down to get a cup of coffee, but I was disappointed that I didn't get me coffee because they
Yeah.
changed it to self-service and the coffee is shit.
God.
So, yeah, other than that, you know, it's grand.
Yeah. One of the little
knock
tricks.
on heaven's door. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Knocking on heaven's
I was
What
going to say
one
that's
did you get, Daniel?
isn't that a Dylan song, or did he cover it?
He covered it.
Right.
Yeah, covered it. What version did you get,
Anyway,
Daniel? Reggae
actually,
version?
Pink Tardis is all over London because the London premiere of Barbie is tonight. And of course, Shooty is in it, so they decided to paint up a couple of TARDISes pink
That's
and
cute. I like that.
put them all over. Yeah, I'm not going to have any qualms with that. But again, you know, it's just sad that all of this shit happened because I won't be watching with Shooty in it, except for Barbie, unfortunately. It'll be the only thing that I'll watch now. So, again, I wish him the best of luck with Doctor Who, but that's it. I'm out. I'll just watch him in
Yeah.
Barbie now and hope that he's funny and yeah, it'll be
That
interesting.
movie looks good. Like off the
Bob Dylan did one
trailers,
as well.
Yeah, it
that
does.
movie looks good.
It just says what it look. Amy Schumer, which we will be covering on Friday. So the people behind the movie says that they didn't like Amy Schumer's movie because it wasn't funny enough. A couple of days later, she claps back with the fact that she left the project because the Barbie movie wasn't feminist enough. And I was like, do you know what? Thank fuck they got rid of her or she left
Oh
or
yeah.
whatever, right? Because if you're going to use the Barbie movie, right, to push some feminist shite on us, well then, do you know what? I'm glad you're gone, right? Because that's not what Barbie should be used for. Okay, simple as that. You see, these people just don't learn. You're not going to get
Yeah.
jobs, Amy. You're not even that funny. You know, actually, I would have to say probably out of all the female comedians that I've seen over the years, only 1% were funny. I'm sorry, but just not funny, right?
Yeah.
Queen Charlotte is funnier than most of the female comedians out there. I mean, they're not funny at all. They think they're funny, but they're not. Absolutely
The
ridiculous. Like,
the problem is with comedy in females, and especially Hollywood was guilty of this, because it traditionally was a male sort of profession. It was, there's no denying that. It was very heavily that way, and because naturally there was some female comics like Joan Rivers, like Joe
yeah,
Brand, like the ones who have been in the business for a long time, but they weren't the majority. So
no.
because
Even
they were,
Whoopi back in her day,
yeah, and Whoopi,
Whoopi in the
sorry,
height
yes,
of it when she did stand up, she was feckin' brilliant as well. Like, I'm not
but
saying, you know what I mean, small minority of women are funny
yeah,
in
but the
comedy.
problem is because of, like I said, it traditionally been a males thing, and there was some females, but they weren't that powerful, or a lot of them really. They then superficially started making a load of female comedians, and you can't superficially make a
Yeah.
comedian. They're actually funny or they're not. That's natural talent. But they kept
Uh,
getting gigs. They kept getting shows. They kept getting all
yeah,
these things because the press and the media wanted to push the narrative that, look, we've got loads of female comedians now.
actually, Peter, they are. They're using the Barbie song. Tiesto has done a version. Actually, there's a new version of Barbie Girl on Aqua's channel because I've been following them and I got a notification one week and I was like, what? They've released another song, but it's a cover from Tiesto. I have to say I was a fan of Tiesto in the early 2000s and stuff and grew up with his music and I think he was a great DJ. I'm gonna say when I first heard the Tiesto version, I wasn't a huge fan. I'm still not, but it's grown on me. But I do like some elements of what he's done to the song. But there is actually a new version of Barbie Girl on the channel, the Aqua channel. So if you want to go and check it out, they are using the song. Charlotte has me in stitches behind the scenes. Says Daniel, that's what I said. She's funnier than this comedian here. Suze Kempner is my favorite comedian. I wouldn't even call her a comedian. Her humor is toilet humor as well. I mean, she tried to make a joke about a toilet and something else, and it just did not work. I mean, she's a poor man's Christina Aguilera. What do you expect anyway?
Yeah.
You know, she used to butcher Christina's songs years ago, God love her, in Iron Napa or wherever she was bleeding doing
Yeah.
her tribute act. You know, which had connections to the mob apparently. And that's how she became famous. I mean,
Yeah.
it's gas. I should come up with a sob story, shouldn't I? And nobody does a background check, and I'll just make up a
Yeah.
shitload of stuff where I was stuck in a cave for 10 years or something. And
Yeah.
I'm only, yeah, they believe that they would, you know. And then if
But
they
I
don't,
think
then I'll just play the victim and say, well, my pronouns are they and them. You can't attack me now. And then if that doesn't work, then I'll just change gender. Then I'm all right, I'm in the clear. You
God,
know,
yeah.
these people are ridiculous. Like, she's not even funny. And our Doomsday thing, even the fans that wanted to love this fucking hate it.
Yeah. It's terrible. God, it's a
Yeah,
terrible
Yeah, I was
act.
going to say though,
you.
back to Barbie. Like, she's not a comedian, Margot Robbie, but she's got good comedy timing.
Yeah.
So I think they cast her brilliantly.
Listen, she's perfect as Harley Quinn. Don't care what people say. People will have their objections about that. But she is the perfect casting for Barbie. Margot Robbie is going to be, she's going to be winning Oscars, this woman.
Yeah.
She's going to be Meryl Streep level with Oscar wins eventually when they recognize her. She's not afraid, and you know, Ryan Gosling gets a stick in Hollywood as well. But there's one thing I'll say about Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling is that they will do movies like this. They don't care what people perceive of them. They'll do the serious movies like they've done, but they don't mind doing these type of movies and having a bit of fun, you know? And that's what I like. I like actors and actresses like that. So I hope this movie does well. I hope Oppenheimer does well as well. We need those two movies to do well, and I will support. Look at, I said the main stumbling block for me was they weren't using Barbie girl in the movie, but they are. So I'm going to give the movie my full support. I know that's a bit shallow to say I'm not going to support the movie because of song, but you cannot have a Barbie movie without the song Barbie Girl. I'm sorry, but you just can't, right? And I'm glad they sorted out their issues and it's done. And we might get the Tiesto version. I hope they do. Jordan, the movie, at some stage, give us the old song. Because let's be honest, nothing beats the original Barbie Girl. That's what we love it. I mean, that song is ridiculous, but everybody loved it at the time. And I still do to this day. I have a soft spot for that song. And I'd even play it here with Cheryl with the computer on. She's a Barbie Girl again. Because I always play it. I'm not afraid to admit it. But yeah, I'll watch that. I'll watch Oppenheimer. They're the two movies. I'm still gonna see if Blue Beetle's good because I did say I'd give that a go, but I'm not having high hopes for that like I did when it was first announced. But we'll see. But they're the three movies really this year that I'm actually excited about, and there's nothing else I'm really excited about. So that's sad, isn't it? Because years ago, you'd be excited for about 10 or 10 or 15 movies coming out, and then on top of that, then TV shows, you know? Very limited nowadays on that, I have to say. Very sad situation we're in with Hollywood.
It's right down the pan, isn't it?
Daniel says,
here's a question I've got for you two. Because I can't remember a year that's had such a bad box office when it comes to like movies that should make money bombing or just about breaking even. And it's not just like sometimes you'll have a couple of movies in a certain genre that will do bad. So Hollywood will just be like, oh, people don't want to watch that type of movie. But we've got animated movies flopping, we've got remakes flopping, we've got comic book movies flopping, we've got so many different types. So it's just
they've lost a shit ton of money. I mean, some of the movies they've managed to break even, and what I mean by break even is they've managed to get the money back for the film and the money that it cost them, obviously for promotion and stuff like that. So some movies have broke even, but that's not good for them either because their movies have to be making profit. So basically, they've spent all of this money, but they have made their money back, but they haven't made any profit.
Exactly.
That's what I was going to say. Do you think having such a disastrous year, and I can't see anything, I know Mission Impossible possibly is going to be one of those big money makers this year, but I think because so many others are bombed, do you think finally certain people in Hollywood are just going to wake up and be like, we need to make profit again. We need to make actual wide appealing movies again.
You would think that.
Hopefully.
But how long has this whole situation been like this? They haven't really. They've been slow to react. I actually think the whole of Hollywood. We talk about Disney and separate companies, but I mean, I think Hollywood is in serious. I think maybe not for the first time in their history, but I think they're really in serious trouble. I think there's a lot of
Yeah.
studios in Hollywood that are in trouble. I mean, you look at the movies that are to come out. I have a list of movies here. So you had Transformers: Rise of the Beast that come out. I haven't heard anybody talk about that. You had
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Everybody stopped talking about that. You've got a new movie now called Asteroid City. You've got Mission Impossible that's just come out as well. You've got Insidious. Indiana Jones flopped. The Sound of Freedom is actually there. Oh, that's there.
doing well, that movie.
Now,
Yeah.
here's
Very well.
the comparison, right? So Indiana Jones, the Dial of Destiny, had a budget of whatever it did, right? And it's flopping at the box office. The Sound of Freedom beat it to the #1 spot in some parts of America. So that's how well that this movie is actually doing. Then you had Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, right? The second movie. You had Fast X. The Super Mario Brothers movie did well. Avatar: The Way of the Water, did that actually do well? I don't know.
I think it eventually did okay.
Right. So then you had John Wick Chapter 4. That was mixed. Elemental flopped. The Flash flopped. And these are the big ones. Then you had the new Scream movie. I don't think that did well either. And then you've got the movies to come out, which I can tell you now because coming soon. So here's the slate for now. This is for different shows. So these are the type of movies that are coming out in this year. You got the Marvels movie to come out, right? So I'm gonna name the high profile ones because there's a lot of crap ones here as well, right? You got a movie called A Rap Trap Hip Hop on Trial. So I don't know if that'll be a big movie, but I'll mention it anyway. You've got The Price of Glee, which is a movie coming out about obviously the stars that are dead.
Yeah.
That'll come out. You've got, I mean, I'll name these. I can name all of these movies. So these are the movies that are coming out in 2023. You tell me if any of these movies are gonna tickle your fancy. So you got the Marvels. You got Vanish: The Hunt for Britain's Missing Children or something like that. Project. These are TV shows. Some of these are TV shows. Sorry. In the Name of the Sun, Parole, Secret Lives of a Society, Murder in the Bighorn, Pretty Baby with Brooke Shields. As I said, The Price of Glee, Bollywed, Kavos Weekender. So that's a TV show as well. But these are TV shows and movies. Is that jumping out at you here so far? The Show, California Love, The Unofficial Science of Home Alone. I think that'll be fun. Venus. You've got Motherhood, which is a movie coming out. I don't know if that's the one that Jodie Whittaker was involved in.
Was that not a documentary or something she was making?
Or was that a documentary? So I mean, you look at just those few movies that I mentioned there, right? And then the high profile flops that they've had, right? And then you've got Superman Legacy to come next year.
Yeah.
You've got Aquaman 2 still to come. That's going to flop as well because that DC is dead. They don't even realize it yet. But that movie is flopping. Even if it's half decent, it's still flopping because of the Amber Heard thing. It's flopping. And Marvel. What's Marvel doing? Well, Kevin Feige has come out and said that he's going to be winding it back a little bit because they want to put out quality more than quantity. And remember, we were all complaining at the time saying, well, isn't that what you should have been doing in the first place? Now you're admitting that you put out shite, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, because a load of, like, to link to what you're talking about, so many people aren't doing Comic-Con this year.
No.
Like, Marvel's said they're not going to be there.
No, DC is not going to be there.
Netflix have said they're not going to be there.
It's even, I think, being confirmed. RTD won't be there.
Well,
so it's just, for me,
anyway,
that's another sign
make a difference.
that the industry is just sort of burning on fumes.
Yeah, It is. We warned them. This is what annoys me. We warned
It needs
them.
a couple of hits.
Yeah.
Maverick was a surprise hit for a lot of people in the industry. So much so that Steven Spielberg, was it James Cameron said to
It was Spielberg, I
Tom
think.
Cruise, was a Spielberg, you've saved their asses, right?
Yeah, that's it.
The Mission Impossible movie, I've seen a couple of reviews for it, but we've got to remember it's a part one of a two-parter. But the reviews have been mixed on that. But it will be the biggest summer blockbuster, I reckon. So that movie will give them a bit of. I think Tom Cruise single-handedly has given Hollywood a bit of time, but they need a couple of hits now to come, and I just don't see the Marvels being a hit or any of these other big budget movies that they're bringing out going to be hits. So where's the next, maybe Beetlejuice 2? When is that coming out though? I don't know when Beetlejuice 2 comes out. Does it come out at the end of this year or is it next year? So this year you might as well say is a bust.
Yeah.
But
Hollywood's in serious trouble, Charlotte. I just going back to what you said, I just don't know where the next big thing is. I mean, House of the Dragon TV show was.
That's probably one of the strongest TV outings. As an upcoming thing people are actually excited for.
So maybe that will sustain the TV side of it. Well, HBO anyway, because HBO's not showing up at Comic-Con, which is
they've all abandoned it this year.
HBO might go doing a pact with Netflix though. At the moment, that's what the news on the headline. Sorry, the news are coming over the hill, as Rabbi put it the other day. So they might stop selling stuff to Netflix.
Think about it. Even during the Depression, in the US, the film industry was able to survive.
Oh, it was booming. It was booming.
Right? It was booming, right? A depression, and it was booming, right?
That's what made it.
There's no depression. There's no nothing, and they're failing. They're actually in a worse position than they were since the Depression. I would say they're even in a worse situation now.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's what kept everyone going during the Depression. That's why Hollywood became so big, because it was entertaining people at the worst time in their lives.
Do you know what companies will do okay during all of this mess and have? Sony. Because Sony doesn't have to rely on Spider-Man. Right? Sony makes its other films as well. Like, for instance, recently they had The Pope's Exorcist with Russell Crowe. Yeah. Now, I watched that movie and I found it highly enjoyable, even though it had some of the obvious tropes that you would find in an Exorcist movie. But it was good. It was entertaining. It did exactly what it said on the tin. It doesn't have to be the brainiest fucking story in the world if it's good enough to follow and you know what's going on. It's a good story, and it was. I really enjoyed that. It's probably one of the best film. I can't believe I'm saying this. It's probably since the Super Mario movie. Anyway, Super Mario and this movie have been the best movies I've seen this year. And that's sad.
Yeah. The thing is with Sony, they're clever because they have their big tent pole, like we're going to spend stupid money for movies. And then they have these smaller budget, whether it's comedy, they've done some smaller
independent studios.
They've got horror because of the whole link with Blumhouse, who can make who can make these very cheap, very effective horror movies. It's like, you probably haven't seen it, but Blumhouse is going to make a Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I see.
If you've seen the trailer, it looks. I can tell you, the fan base for those games are going to adore this movie because it looks straight out of the games. I
agree. I agree with you. It looks bonkers, but it's gonna be one of those movies that I think will do well.
It's going to do well because it's going to be made on a smaller budget because that's what Blumhouse does. It's also got, I think, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I think it's brilliant casting. It's got the fella who was Shaggy in those Scooby-Doo movies.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name?
Matthew Lillard
as the villain.
Oh, God.
So, and even just off the trailer, there's like one clip of him in the trailer, and he's spooky, and he's like, you get that shiver
Yeah.
down your spine. They've got the actual animatronics is Jim Henson. They're the people who have made all of the actual proper, like Freddy and all the
studios.
That's what I'm saying. This movie's going to be off the chain. It's going to be one of those movies that's going to be a movie that everybody is going to hear about, and it's just going to want to check it out. And that's what we need. We need more of those movies, man. I've been slagging off the Fast and the Furious franchise for years because I said, how can a movie spawn like 9 fucking sequels?
Yeah.
Right, or 9 movies, I should say, because they've linked them all now, I think. So they are sequels. Like, but you know what? You know why that franchise is such a success? Because it does exactly what it says on the tin.
Exactly.
There's no pandering, and there's just plenty of action and people and stuff to keep people entertained. And you know what? You know, those movies, the likes of those movies are doing better than they should be. Let's be honest. They're movies that, you know, because the audience pretends, we public pretend we're not sophisticated, but we like our movies that make us think. We like good, solid dramas and stuff like that. Movies like them, like the Steven Seagal movies of the 90s and all, we all watched them because they were a bit of cheese, bit of action, and it was a bit of escapism, right? But we need more of those movies. But that's why those movies, when they do bring those movies out, even Cocaine Bear that people are ranting and raving about, the reason why that did so well is just because it did exactly what it said on the tin, and it just got on with it. And that's what a lot of these other movies need to do. And that's why Tom Cruise is having such success. He said it himself. He makes movies so you can get seats, or you get bums in seats in the cinemas, and he makes the movies for fans. And that's what he does. And that's what these other studios... You need to listen to Cruisey Boy here, right? Cruisey Boy has been knocking out of the park for years, decades. You need to be listening to him. He's telling you how to save Hollywood.
Yep.
And he won't listen.
That's
he's even G'd up some of your shit movies to try to get people to go. But you know what? And that shows the integrity of the man. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you think of him about his religious beliefs, but I think he's kind of strayed a bit away from Scientology over the years. He's not as involved as he used to be, because I think he's finally starting to see what they are, but better not say anything if there's any Scientologists in the chat, because I'll be stalked.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's making movies that people enjoy. So, you know, listen to Cruisey Boy, because I tell you, he's saving the industry single fucking handedly. No, I didn't think I'd ever sit here and say that Tom Cruise is saving the film industry. Right, Tom Cruise, I think Tom Cruise is a great actor. I think he can do serious. But over the years, he's done roles like this, and he's been kind of typecast. That's what he does. But when Tom Cruise does a serious role, he's fucking epic. I mean, just watch him in fucking A Few Good Men. I mean, that's one of his finest performances ever. And Jack Nicholson on top of that in that courtroom, that scene alone. Those two, that was Tom Cruise at the height of his power, right? That's the acting he can do.
Yeah, I would say if you want a mixture, because it's really good acting and action, Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah,
because in that movie, he's not the hero. He's not this macho, like, he's a wimp. He's a coward.
Yeah,
and he plays it brilliantly.
Love it. But I love the progression of him, because he starts off as a coward. But because he keeps repeating the same day, obviously starts trade, gets more confident. And then by the time he gets to the near end of the movie, you can see how confident he actually is, that he's willing to, like, I won't ruin it. But there's supposed to be, when I say there's supposed to be a second part, the sequel is being talked about for so long now that I'm even losing hope that we'll get one. But even Tom Cruise has mentioned that. Even fucking Emily Blunt has mentioned the fact that she would let that they're talking about a sequel, but it's never materialized. But I don't know how they're going to do a sequel to this, because the way it ended kind of wrapped it up in a nice little neat bow. Unless it's I don't know, but I would love to see a second one. I'm not going to lie, but that is a great movie. But yeah, it's movies like that put bums in seats. It's a great movie. It actually is very underrated, I think. And another movie of his that's underrated is Minority Report.
Yeah.
Great movie. The Precogs. Great fucking movie. Should check it out. Actually, here's a bit of trivia for you. Did you know that originally Will Smith was cast in that role?
Really?
And right here's the thing, right? You're gonna love this. This is actually, you can check this up, right? So Will Smith was originally cast to play the lead in Minority Report. At the same time, Tom Cruise was offered the role in iRobot,
Oh,
right?
okay.
But something happened where the two of them basically swapped movies and became, so Will Smith ended up with iRobot, which was originally supposed to be Cruise, and then Cruise ended up with Minority Report, which was supposed to be Will Smith. But if you look at the two movies, I think iRobot did suit Will Smith better.
Yeah.
I don't think Minority Report would have fitted his profile of acting. I think that movie, I love both movies, by the way, and I love the both of them because they do have that connection. But yeah, even
they're
with
both written
Rocky,
by
I think they
Philip
had
K. Dick.
Bruce Willis at one stage,
Yeah.
and other actors. The studios wanted to get in to play Rocky, and Sylvester Stallone was having none of it.
Yeah. No, both films are written by Philip K. Dick as well. Well, the
There
stories.
you go.
There you go. You're a Philip K. Dick fan. Like Blade Runner.
Rain Man. Oh, don't even get me going on that movie. That movie breaks my heart, man. I mean, the way he treats him at the start of the movie and then the progression, you can see he loves his brother. It's just, it is a feel-good movie near the end. I mean, what at the end breaks my heart because he has to go back because you can finally see that the two of them have connected. And that's a great movie. And here's another little bit of trivia. There's a scene in that movie where Dustin Hoffman farts in the phone box and Tom Cruise opens the door to let out the smell. That wasn't actually part of the script. Dustin Hoffman had actually really let a fart off. But instead of actually calling cut, right, Tom Cruise just carried on and he opened the door while he was on the phone. So that scene wasn't even supposed to work out that way. It worked out that way because Dustin Hoffman decided that was the time to fart in the phone box. Yeah.
I think the thing is with Tom Cruise, why he's just such a force of nature is because he just loves movies.
Yeah.
He's not doing it for his own ego. He's not doing it because it makes him famous. He just wants to be a movie star. And he loves the idea of the movie being your entertainment.
I agree with that comment.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't know why that movie never got a sequel because that could have been very easily a trilogy. But maybe Will Smith is on the comeback trail. You never know. Look, I think people need to get over. Yeah, he did wrong, right? He clattered. He shouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it in front of people. I would have called them aside when the cameras were off and you were on a break, and I would have pulled them up and say, "Listen, you know, I know you all think it's fair game, take cheap shots at me wife, but I've had enough of it now. Just leave it out, will you?" And done it that way, privately. But he did it publicly, right? Just something snapped in him and he done it. Well, she gave him the look. We seen the video. She gave him a look and he snapped, right? Because he knew he was in trouble for laughing. So he went up and he reacted like a chucked man does, right? And he clattered. It wasn't even a proper clatter. But look, do I think his career should be ruined because of it? Absolutely not, right? So I like Will Smith as an actor, right? Personally speaking, I have to say, I think he should, you know, it's not my place to tell him who he should and shouldn't be married to, but I certainly don't think his marriage is a healthy one.
No, not at all.
Right? So that's all I'll say on that. I don't think it's healthy, but that's not my place to say. He's chosen the woman he's chosen, and that's the life he's chosen. But I don't think, look, he's been already taken out of the academy. That's fine. He's got his Oscar. So he got his Oscar anyway. That night will be tainted, but he's got his Oscar. He got recognised for what he did, and he deserved that Oscar no matter what happened. He deserved that Oscar, right? But I don't want to see him, his career gone. I'd like to see Will Smith again, and I know he's done a couple of movies, but one was mainstream, and I think because he's not getting the jobs that he wants, they'll do these sort of shitty movies until they get. But apparently, there's going to be, they've been talking about it again for years. Again, another movie that he was in. People have a problem with because they've read the book, but I actually love the movie, which is I Am Legend. And apparently, there might be a sequel or a prequel in the works. Now, for anybody saying, well, there can't be a sequel, there's actually two endings to that movie.
Yeah.
Right? There's an ending, there's the ending that most of you know, which is the ending where he dies, right? But there's actually an ending in the movie where he survives.
And makes contact,
Yeah, and he makes contact with, he basically catches up with your woman and the kid, and they end up in the place where the humans are, and then he gives the cure, and blah, 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 right? So there is a possibility of doing a sequel to it if you use that ending. Maybe there's a breakout, something or another breakout of the virus again, and he has to deal with it or whatever, right? But I'd prefer a prequel, to be quite honest with you, because I would love to see the events that led it, because we got flashes in the movie, but I'd like to see the events that lead up to what this was and him at the very start of his journey living. Because remember, by the time we see the movie, he's already been there a while, right? So he's kind of gotten used to it. And we see few moments where he does lose his composure, but at the start, he's going to be very more erratic. Think about it, right? And he's going to be a bit more vulnerable and a bit more emotional because he saw his wife and his kid. If you haven't seen the movie, I won't spoil it for you, but something happens in that movie and he's left on his own in New York. It's New York, isn't it? Yeah, New York. It's a great movie. So people love the book. And people that have read the book says the book is better, but I don't care, right? I do love the movie. I think the movie is very good. Will Smith, again, his performance in it is brilliant. And there's a heartbreaking scene in that movie that I can't even talk about, but that just, every time, that scene just gets to me. And you could see him snap at that moment. It's a great movie. Will Smith is a great actor. Hope to see him back on television again. Because I'll tell you one thing now, right? There are worse actors and actresses that are right now that are in movies and are making movies that did worse than what Will Smith has done. And yet Will Smith is the one that's being punished. I just want to remind people that there are rumors about certain Hollywood stars that have been around for decades that have been accused of stuff that are still making movies today, right?
Yeah.
And these are heinous things against kids. Yeah, everybody's having a freak out because some chuck went up and clattered a shit comedian across the face. Chris Rock used to be funny, right? Chris Rock ain't funny anymore. He stopped being funny in the 2000s. Chris Rock is done. So again, smacking Chris Rock to me wasn't a big deal. You know what I mean?
But then again, the Academy shouldn't have hired Chris Rock. They knew what he was like. I blame the Academy.
Well, look, no, Chris Rock deserved that moment. He did. But they did it for politics reasons. They didn't do it for the right reasons. They didn't do it because he thought he deserved it. They did it because they wanted to prove that they were more diverse. People will argue that was the only reason why Will Smith actually got his Oscar in the first place. But I would disagree with that. I think Will Smith has proven over the years in some of these performances. I mean, he should have won an Oscar for Ali anyway. That movie is sensational, but him playing Muhammad Ali, I mean, he played that off to a T. He was Muhammad Ali. He convinced everybody he was Muhammad Ali, so he should have won an Oscar there, in my opinion. So this Oscar is way overdue, in my opinion. So, but they didn't do it for the right reasons or the right intentions, Hollywood, because they're like BBC and every other company out there.
That's summed it up. You've summed it up. I mean, the BAFTAs are very disingenuous. I should know. I know a few BAFTA winners.
Yeah, and look at the recent thing with that BBC presenter. Can I just
Yeah.
add, right?
Won an
Because
award.
Guardian put out an article saying that this TV presenter situation should make them learn from mistakes that they made and all of this. Well, I'd like to ask that journalist then, why does that article not apply to what happened to Noel Clark?
Exactly. What's his name?
Unfounded
Richard.
allegations that were printed in a
Michael
newspaper,
Gabacini.
and he's exposed them. Yeah, there's evidence and photographs circulating of this TV presenter who has been named now, but I still don't want to name him on YouTube, right? But he's been named and shamed now. Even his own wife has named and shamed him, so we know there's something in it if his own wife is coming out and ratting on him, right?
Yeah.
But he tried so hard to keep his identity a secret, and the media were complicit in keeping it a secret. Obviously, they probably were afraid to get sued. Fair enough. But still, they had no hesitation of putting out false information about Noel Clark.
Yeah.
All the while, the police had said there was nothing to investigate, no crimes, no nothing. And no crime was ever reported against Noel Clark. And yet he's had his reputation tarnished and dragged through the mud and has been essentially cancelled. So explain that one to me, especially the journalist that wrote that article. So how can you say that and be the hypocrites that you are when you cancel a man based on false information? And let's be blunt here. It was false information, because since those allegations come out, what else has come of them? What has come of them? Nothing. Why didn't these women go to the police instead of going to the newspapers? Right? Because they never reported the crime. Because Noel Clark was able to access the Freedom of Information Act on himself, and he was able to find out in all the years that he's been living, no crime was ever reported against him. So how come it was okay for you to ruin his life based on false allegations, but now you're coming out in articles saying lessons must be learned from this TV presenter nonsense? Like, cop on. The Guardian, by the way, use owe Noel Clark an apology. BAFTA, you owe Noel Clark an apology. Absolutely disgraceful. That presenter appeared in Doctor Who in Fear Her. I know. This is why I'm not doing that. I can't. Everywhere you look. And let's be honest, with the direction that RTD is bringing the current version of Doctor Who, I don't think I like the direction it's going in. And if I had kids young enough that were fans of it, I certainly wouldn't be letting them watch this new iteration of Doctor Who, because I don't like the direction they're going in. And certain people that are on the show have come out with despicable things online and done despicable things. So nah, I'm done with it. But it's sad.
Yeah,
it's sad. But yeah, unless there's anything else to say. I saw him live. Disagree. I saw him. Listen, John, personal thing. I think Chris Rock stopped being funny a long time ago. And I used to love him. One of my favorite movies of him, I think is it called Bad Company, where he has a twin brother. His twin brother works for I think it's the FBI or something, and his twin brother gets killed in a sting operation. But he doesn't know he's a twin, and he hustles on the street. The other brother does, and basically what they do is to get him to pretend to be the twin brother, because they want to bring down this Russian fella. It's a great movie. Anthony Hopkins is in the movie as well. He was funny in those days. I don't find him funny now. Actually, he's very irritating, if I'm honest. You know, and I used to love his movies growing up. So, you know, Just don't like his stand-up now. That's all. Is there anything else, guys, on the panel that you want to talk about before we wrap up tonight? I mean, I know we kind of got sidetracked on different topics, but I suppose that's the best thing about these streams is that, and I suppose it was right to talk about what we needed to talk about and get it all out in the open so everybody knows where I stand. But is there anything else you just want to talk about before we head off? Queen Charlotte, anything come to mind?
No, I'm good. Like I said, the only thing was the Witcher numbers, just to prove that, yeah, they're already lost the interest, but they've still got Henry technically in the season. So good luck, season 4. Good luck.
Yeah.
PD?
No, not much at the moment. I mean, Lee will talk about the thing I like to talk about on Friday, so it's fine. Just leave it for Lee. Or one of your private streams. I think he's going to do it on one of the Rumble streams instead.
Yeah, we will be doing a Rumble stream on Thursday anyway.
Hello, Gobby. Yeah, we're just wrapping up.
Anyway, I've explained. So if you want to hear what happened tonight, I've explained. I will be rebranding the Tardis Zone. It will no longer be known as the Tardis Zone. That obviously that process is going to take a while before we get there because there's a lot to do. Because remember, there's a lot of trailers that are very specific to the channel that we won't be using now. And there's a lot of rebranding to be done. So as I said, that's it for me. I am out with Doctor Who. I will not be supporting BBC in any TV show or program they put out there. This is a moral objection, and that's what it is. I am not going to support a company and an organization that harbors those type of people within their walls. And I'm done. And as I said to the rest of you guys, I'm not telling you what to do, but I do think you need to actually sit back and think about this and think about should you support the BBC, because how many times, as I said on Twitter, and I'll say it again here tonight, how many mistakes, how many times do BBC have to cover up shit like this or do the stuff that they do before we all say enough is enough? BBC will never truly learn any lessons from what's happened here if you keep supporting them. And that's not just with Doctor Who, that's with EastEnders and all these other shows and the merchandise connected to these shows. And I would suggest, if you do agree with me on my take and you do agree with my point of view, I would also say to you, there is ways of legally stop paying your TV license. There's a legal way of doing it. You can fill in forms. They don't tell you. This is the thing. These companies BBC don't tell you. Right? It's the same here in Ireland. You can actually sign stuff, and you tell them that you watch all your stuff on computers and stuff if that's the truth. Once you don't have a Sky box or a box like that, because they can just check that up and say, oh no, but you're using Sky, so you do use a TV. But if you're not using any company like Sky, wherever you have over there, Virgin Media or whatever else you have, you just don't have any of that, right? They can check that. They'll say, oh, they're not connected to Anton, so they don't use their TV. So get it done. Defund the BBC. You know, as I said, it is a personal decision. You will have to come to that yourselves. But as I said, myself and I know Gobby Guy and others out there, we've decided that we're going to take a stand. We're going to come together. And, you know, we just cannot be tolerating this nonsense from them anymore. Look at ITV as well, have shown as well how they handle business. So, look, if you want the British TV industry to be cleaned up, well, then you're going to have to start doing what people have done with Disney, because it is working. You boycott these movies and you unsubscribe and all. Look at Disney. It's in an awful state right now. It's even had to take its own programs off Disney Plus. Yeah. That's how bad it is. So boycotts do work. Look at the Budweiser situation.
Yeah.
Boycotts do work, folks. we're in a time where these boycotts actually do work. Years ago when I even used to criticize boycotts, you just remember I'd say they don't work, but they do now because they're in a weakened position. All of them, they're all in it. And BBC right now are in a weakened position because of, unfortunately, what they have allowed to happen. Right? Yep. So have a think about it. As I said, I'm not going to force anybody to. It's up to yourself as an individual. But as I said, I haven't watched the Flash movie because of a moral objection, and I've stuck to that. And I haven't watched it on the sly either. I have not watched that movie. My wife will verify it. I have not watched that movie. I will not watch that movie. I never will watch that movie because the lead was charged, and we all know what he done because we've seen video footage of some of the stuff that he done. Mm-hmm. Right? So I cannot support the BBC on anything that they do. That's me personally. And I cannot have the Tardis name on my channel anymore. So that's where I stand. The rebrand will take time, but we will slowly get there. But as I said, the streams that we do, the likes of these streams, obviously we're more lighthearted normally on these streams. And we'll get back to that next week. Don't you worry. But as I said, we still do Friday Night Contact. We still do all the other streams that we do. As you know, we've had Christian on, and we've been talking about classic TV shows and classic movies and stuff like that. And that's the type of stuff you're going to be getting on this channel. There'll be nothing going forward now that's remotely connected to Doctor Who, and that includes right now, as I said, for now, the classic era. I cannot support anything that the BBC put out there. And I was looking forward to a few of the classic box sets, but it's not happening. I'm not giving them a penny. They're not getting another penny off me until that organisation is cleared out from top to bottom. And until then, and until I see that BBC have finally cleared their act up. And you know what? It probably won't happen in my lifetime anyway. They probably never clean that cesspit up. Right? So that's, Gobby says it. I won't say it because I'll probably get into trouble on YouTube, but he's right. That's what you need to do to that organisation. And you need, out of the ashes and the shit, you need to build new foundations and build a new BBC.
Yeah. True.
Thank you, Lindsay.
And I really appreciate that. But that's what I'm going to do. I just can't on a moral objection, and I won't. And I have been sticking to it, by the way, because you already know we've been moving away from Doctor Who. So you know where I stand now, and I'm glad that everybody in this chat seems to be happy with that decision and is going to stick by me, because that's what I was afraid of. But I've been thinking about this rebrand for a while now. But I think the last couple of days have really been it for me. Not really been, have been it for me. That's it. I just can't. I just can't support that organisation anymore. So, as I said, it's up to you ourselves what you do. I'm not going to criticise anybody out there if you watch Doctor Who, if you watch the 60th, if you watch Shooty series, but I'm not watching. I'm not even going to watch behind the scenes and pretend that I haven't watched. I'm not watching. I've actually even told, because Cheryl was looking forward to watching she knows, so I'm not watching Doctor. I said, no, I'm not watching. You can watch if you want. I'm not watching. So I won't know what's going to happen. So I hope for all you people that do decide to watch, I hope it's good for yous and everything that you wish it will be. But that's me out. And I just like to thank David Tennant personally as well, because, you're a doctor that I've always had nice things to say about, and a man that I've always had. I always thought you had your head screwed on. But that T-shirt and what you support, you're on the wrong side of history, mate.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and slag you off and call you, because, at the end of the day, I've done that backstage. I'm not going to do that publicly. Yeah. but I think you've made the wrong decision here, and you've made a misjudgment. There's no such thing, and I'll say it here. I'll probably get in trouble off YouTube, but fuck it, right? There's no such thing as trans kids. Trans babies don't exist, and any adult out there that thinks that they do, there's fucking something wrong with you.
Well, there's gender
Right?
dysphoria, but that's it.
Because what you're doing is you're basically siding with these cultists that say it's okay for kids to make the decision to make life altering reconstructions of their body in the name of a cult. All right.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
there is.
it.
Well, no, there is people with proper gender dysphoria, but there's a lot of trans trending going on, as we call it, and that's the problem. That's to be able to someone can tell the difference between gender dysphoria and trans trending. And these people just want everyone just to trans. Oh yeah, we think you're the opposite sex, trans immediately. That's the problem. That's what's causing the problem, and that's what a lawsuit from my organisation recently, not to mention any names, won against, and one of the nasty, horrible little charities got their comeuppance. But you'll go into that with Lee a few probably tomorrow or Friday.
We'll be on Rumble.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what it is, Gabby, and that's the way I view it as, and that's why I cannot support the BBC. It's not just about Doctor Who; it's everything on the BBC, and that includes their merchandise. But as I said, it's a personal decision. People will make their own decisions, but I think a lot of people agreed with me Twitter stream. And I think people actually realise that we really do have to do something. You know, boycotts do work.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I hate to do this because
Tide's
it means
turning.
we're taking down something that we love. But do we want that something that we love to be tainted with with that organisation and everything that goes on? And remember, they're going to use our show again as a vehicle. And if we thought the Chris Chibnall era was bad,
it's going to be worse.
Right? If we thought the Chris Chibnall era was bad, this is going to be worse. Yet the writing will be better. But I think RTD has set his stall out now and has showed us what his intentions is and what he's going to do. He's going to do what every other showrunner has been doing over these last few years, is using Doctor Who, the likes of Star Trek, Star Wars, as platforms to preach their fucking nonsense. And that's exactly what's going to happen with Doctor Who. So, right, I've said it all that I need to say now, so I'm done. I was going to come back on and go on to Twitter tonight and bash Mr. Tardis for his hypocritical comments, but I'll wait until tomorrow when I'm a lot calmer because I've done 2 streams now and I'm actually feeling a little bit.
So you'll be tired now, no?
I feel a bit tired now. So I'll do it tomorrow. I'll have 2 streams tomorrow, one on Twitter, but that'll be later on in the night, and I'll have one on Rumble. It's tomorrow Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a stream on Rumble with Lee, and we have some guests coming on as well. So come and join us for that on Rumble.
Sorry, what
and
time?
Then we'll be back here on Friday for the member stream, and then obviously Friday night contact as well.
Yeah. Sorry, what time's your Rumble tomorrow? Just so I can scribble it
down. I don't think the time has been set in stone yet, but what I'll do is I'll message you.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah,
when it's on, and I'll let everybody know on Twitter, obviously. And if I can post it on my community posts on YouTube, which I'm pretty sure I can, look out on my community wall, and you'll probably see the link there. But that's me done, so I will go to Queen Charlotte next.
Yep, so you'll catch me on Type 40, where we talk about Doctor Who, past, current, and future. We're going to be covering the shooting interview, I think, sort of stuff he got said and sort of other rumblings. So that's tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah. One of his rumblings was that him and John Pertwee were the only 2 doctors that dressed like sluts.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like I haven't said anything about Shooty because I'm still pretty chuffed that he's casted. I've got nothing against the chap, but I mean, like, you know, keep that shit to yourself. Like, he didn't dress like a slut. He dressed sophisticated. Like, I mean, again, everything has to be slut or queer or fucking something, right? Like, leave it out. Do your fucking interview. Talk about your favorite doctors. Don't bring your fucking shit in. Oh, I think he was fucking gay, or I think he was fucking whatever. Nobody gives a shit,
Subversing the past, isn't it? Really?
right?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, queer. What next?
And
Anyway, go on,
also
Charlotte.
on Dan's second channel, the Spacebook 2, which he's sort of using for other Who things, because he's doing a bit of branching out as well and sort of reworking. We're planning a Power Rangers thing, and we'll at some point be doing a Power Rangers stream on there together. So look forward to that.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Just
ED.
a second. Yeah, sorry, just doing something in the chat. Give me a second. Just type the word other. There you go, Charlotte. There's the other channel. Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, you can normally find me in the chat hanging around with Rabbi. If you have any problems, just come and get in contact with me. We'll try and sort them out, as I did tonight. And sometimes I appear on Dan's channel. I'd just like to give Jack a shout and Gobby. There we go.
Fantastic. And you catch him here as well, obviously.
Yeah.
Doctor Who says, Gobby Guy. I look forward to that Twitter stream tomorrow on that donut. Says Scottish Davros and friends wrestle with pop culture. Yeah, well, I mean, look, he puts out a tweet and he accuses the BBC of homophobia because they're trying to protect this BBC presenter. And this was before the presenter was named and shamed. Then he puts out a tweet, I think it was today, where he says he's looking for, even if it wasn't today, just shows the hypocritical nature. And that's what I want to call out. So he says he's looking forward to watching Shooty playing the Doctor. Now, this is the same man that gave out about Big Finish when he gets the privileged opportunity to review these Big Finish audios because, you know, he's in the know. And he refused to review one, or if he got copies of it, he said he was going to refuse to review it because the writer was transphobic, right? So when this BBC presenter thing came out, he accused them of homophobia, but then comes out then with a tweet to say that he can't wait to see Shooty play the Doctor in the role. Well, if you have any morals, right, and you have any self-respect and you have any integrity, right, and you actually believe what you're saying, if BBC are homophobic in your opinion, and this is what I'll be talking about on my stream on Twitter, well then why are you supporting Doctor Who if BBC are homophobic? I mean, your logic makes no sense because, well, we don't know. I don't know if he's officially come out. Some people say he was outed by Neil Patrick Harris, but I'm pretty sure Shooty's a gay man.
Shooty's never said anything officially.
Has he not? Right.
No.
Right. So he's never said that officially. So we won't assume. But the rumor is, well, Neil Patrick Harris apparently, you know, ousted him then, right? Because he said he was gay. Right. So how can the BBC be homophobic if the Doctor is a gay man? If obviously Neil Patrick Harris is the one that outed him, so I'm going by that, right? So if they were homophobic, surely they'd have an objection to Shooty playing the role, and that's what I'm going to call you out on. You're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite, because if you do truly believe that they're homophobic, right? And by the way, I think your comments are very dangerous. This is why I want to do a stream, and it actually is very dangerous what you've said. You've got a following and people lap that shit up, right?
Yeah.
And here, I'm not defending BBC here, but I don't see where you're getting this accusation of homophobia from. Russell T Davies is a gay man. He's writing Doctor Who. They hired him back in 2005. If they were homophobic, they would never have hired him. Boris Hussein, wasn't he gay?
Yep.
Yeah, right. If BBC were homophobic, would he have got a job?
There's a whole history of people who have worked for the BBC.
Exactly. So this is why I'm calling you out. You're a hypocrite, and I'm going to remind fans how much of a scumbag you are, because I'm going to bring up the whole Sargon thing as well. But this time I'm going to do it on Twitter so everybody could see what you're actually truly about.
Yeah, make sure you message Carl first. Don't piss Carl off at the moment. He's got a war with the BBC going on himself.
I'm not trying to piss anybody off. I'm just trying to show what this man is all about. Mr. Tardis is one of the most dangerous men in the fandom.
Yeah,
and people should sit up and realise how dangerous he actually is with the rhetoric that he comes out with. But he's wrong. He's a hypocrite. BBC are not homophobic. What I'd blame BBC, what I would accuse BBC of is not respecting people from the LGBTQ community when they represent them on screen. But to accuse them of blatant homophobia is a lie, because the history of certain shows and people that have appeared on BBC disproves everything that you've said. And you just need to leave it out with your bullshit.
Yeah,
man.
because Sargon got caught up in the BBC Verify, as we like to call it, BBC Vilify. So he's a bit annoyed with them at the moment.
It's ridiculous, it is.
I know.
But anyway, we'll leave it there because I've said me piece and I'm hungry now and I need to I've drained of energy and I need to get something in me before I fucking absolutely collapse. Anyway, I've got 3 channels, as you know now. We've got Nold, the Red Devil. If you want to support football, Manchester United, I did my first live stream over there. I'm also on Rumble on the Nold Zone again, under the Tardis Zone again. Like this channel, that'll be rebranded the same name, so there won't be any confusion there. Everything will have the same name. So yeah, go and catch me there as well. And as I said, I'm back here on Friday on Rumble, Thursday.
And also you can catch Noel Gaming. He's got the Irish Geek.
Oh yeah, and the Irish Geek I have been gaming. That's right. I did the first episode of Ghostbusters. We did a couple of chapters of the game. So if you're a fan, we're 399 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, please try to get me to 400, and then we're 100 away. Maybe I'll be able to monetize that channel as well, and that'll be great. And it'll help this channel even more then, because then, when we do the rebrand and all of that, because obviously I'm going to have to fork out cash for this, because it'll have to be done. I can't expect people to do a total rebrand for me for nothing, so I've got to have to pay for this rebrand. So you can help me out by subscribing to the other channel, because I'll never ask you directly to help me out, but that's how you can help me out, by subscribing to the other channels and giving me a help out that way and liking the videos and stuff like that. And that's all I'll ever ask from you. So thank you for all the support. I'm glad I got all of that off my chest, but I'm emotional right now and I just need to head off now. So I'm going to leave it there for now and I'll talk to you. Thanks for coming in and listening to us tonight. We really do appreciate all the support and we will be back very, very soon. Good night, folks.
Good night.
Yeah.